Welcome to Brainthropology. This portion of our podcast is about mindfulness meditation, and we believe it is important to practice mindfulness every day. I'm really honored that you're here joining us in this podcast today. Thanks. Welcome to this meditation for Brainthropology. Today, we're going to do a meditation on mindfulness of the breath and what's called noting. Noting is a really invaluable tool in meditation, and we're going to learn that today. Perhaps you remember when you did the body scan, how we explored sensations in our bodies. We want to strengthen our awareness of what goes on in our mind. For example, our awareness of body sensations, because it allows us to interact with ourselves and with others by being more in the present moment. So a bodily sensation, just to refresh your memory, if you're wearing a short sleeve shirt, you might notice that the bare part of your arms feels cool. If you were noting this, you could make a note of that observation by saying, coolness, coolness. This is simply noting or naming a specific sensation or feeling. Noting allows you to witness the sensation with balance. There was a research study at UCLA using MRI scans, which found that noting activates the prefrontal cortex. That's the area of the brain responsible for higher order cognitive thinking, executive functioning, reasoning. So if you used noting, you actually activated the prefrontal cortex, and at the same time, you reduce activity in the limbic system. That's the area that deals with emotions. So let's say you're having an intense, unpleasant sensation. If you note or name that sensation, it correlates with a reduction of reactivity to the experience. So you might say, this is a moment of pain in my hip, or this is a moment of suffering. After noting or naming, a way to continue this exploration is with two questions. The first question is, what is happening inside me right now? What is happening inside me right now? As you ask, notice what you experience in your body. Also notice how asking this question directs your attention inward. Then ask yourself a second question. Can I be with this right now? Sometimes we just aren't ready to be with a sensation that we have. This question allows for a spaciousness, a bigger container, allows for us to make space for the experience. So when you want to connect more fully with the life within you, you can ask yourself these questions at any time. In this meditation, when you practice mindfulness of breathing, you'll get to a place where your mind wanders. So you'll start noticing sensations or thoughts or feelings. And when that happens, you can use the tool of naming or noting. As you become aware of the various sensations that are arising, you can whisper yourself a word to describe what's happening. Let's say you had a serious argument with your spouse and you're thinking about it. As you notice these thoughts, you could name it anger, anger, or perhaps it's a different feeling, sadness, sadness. Once you have named a sensation, which could be the feeling of coolness on your arms or an emotion, you can continue to notice how that sensation develops, because soon a different sensation will arise and draw your attention. And you can use naming to work with that. As we continue to experience sensations, simply noting and not interfering, we will come into deeper contact with reality. And as you do this, you might notice everything is constantly changing. Knowing that intellectually is very different than having the experience that nothing is permanent. Everything that we notice, whether it's our breath or a feeling or a tingling sensation in the body, a thought, nothing stays the same. It's always moving and changing. If we understand that, we can let go of our resistance of trying to control things. We can step back and watch what arises. As we let ourselves enter the river of sensations, we know that whatever is happening will pass. We can open our lives to living more fully and with appreciation. We can relax and just go with the ever-changing flow. So let's start the meditation. I'm going to sound the bowl once to start the meditation and 3 times to end the meditation. Begin by attending to your meditation posture. Bring your attention to the sensations of just sitting here right now. In your meditation posture, notice any sensations in your body, perhaps sensations in the feet or the legs resting on the floor or the chair. Noticing the sensations of the buttocks on the chair, the hands in your lap, what their weight is, and whether the fingers are curled or not. Noticing the sensations of the torso being held up by all your muscles. Gently elongate your spine. Notice the head and the neck and how they are being held up. In this meditation, we're going to go back and forth between mindfulness of the breath and learning how to do noting or naming. We will initially focus on mindfulness of the breath. So mindfulness of the breath will be in the foreground. Once we have established that practice, we'll let it recede to the background and focus on or bring to the forefront the tool of noting. If you haven't already, close your eyes or gaze downwards with a soft focus. Now bring your attention to the sensations of the breath, wherever that is most obvious to you, whether it's at the chest or the abdomen or the nostrils. Let your attention simply rest there, noticing the sensations of the breath coming in and the breath going out. Simply becoming aware of your experience, becoming aware of whatever the normal rhythm of your breath is today. You may notice that as you're sitting here, just observing the breath, that other sensations or thoughts or feelings arise. And for now, we will just let them go. For this part of the practice, just keep the focus on the breath, back to the sensations of the breath, the rising and falling of your torso, all on its own. So we may notice that there are other things going on besides the breath right now, but we're just going to let them go and keep our focus on the breath. We're not pushing away or holding on to those other sensations or feelings. We're just letting them go, like opening up the palm of your hand to release a butterfly. We're just letting them float off and returning to the breath. This breath right now, and now this breath. Noticing when the attention is pulled away by thoughts or awareness of your body or perhaps feelings. Simply notice that that occurred. Simply notice that your attention was pulled away and come back to the breath without judging yourself and with great kindness. Just paying attention to the sensations of the breath, making that right now the primary object of your attention. Then notice how other things might arise. We can notice that in spite of focusing our attention on the breath, we are drawn to other things. We start thinking about the knee that bothers us, or the fact that we had to rush to get to work, or maybe there's some residual angry feelings from a fight we had. We have the option to let them go for now, neither hanging on to them and developing a story or pushing them away. How do we practice letting go? Just imagine putting your thought or emotion on a leaf and then placing the leaf in a gentle river and watching them float away and then return to the breath. The rhythm of the breath coming in and the breath going out. If your attention is not on the breath, noticing where it is. Noticing where our attention is just as valid as if we had stayed on the breath the whole time. We noticed that there was thinking or a feeling, or we noticed a sensation. The other option we have when our attention is drawn away from the breath is to practice noting or naming what has drawn our attention. So when a body sensation or a thought or a feeling comes up, think of one word that describes your experience. You don't need to get a dictionary or a thesaurus. Usually the first word that comes up works. So it might be a feeling of heat in your body. It might be a feeling of happiness. It might be a thought about your work project. Just notice what word arises in your awareness and mentally repeat it to yourself in a soft tone. Please note that 5% of your attention is on the naming, and the other 95% of your attention is focusing on being aware. Once you have named the sensation or thought, observe it. Do the sensations change? Do they move? Do they disappear? Practice this. So just to review, if a group of sensations persists, make a mental note. That is, name it, find one word for it. So first, name it. Second, observe the sensation. You will begin to notice that you are witnessing the changing flow of sensations inside yourself, feeling them fully, naming what is predominant and letting it be. Noting is an optional tool. If it brings clarity, use it. If not, drop it. We are not stopping or attempting to stop the river of sensations. We're just noting them with awareness. The third step is to ask the questions, the two questions I mentioned earlier. So you want to stay with sensation after naming it and observing it, and then ask yourself two questions. What is happening inside me right now? And can I be with this? Continue to be open to the stream of sensations, just letting it be as it is. Now return to home base, that is the breath. Rest in that anchor, bringing it your full attention, calm and resting attention. If a sensation arises or persists, let that primary anchor recede and bring your full attention to what is arising. If nothing strong calls your attention, stay with your home base, relaxed yet alert. Just letting the sensations go and come back to the breath, resting in the breath. In this meditation practice, we are looking at the anchor of mindfulness of the breath, and we're paying attention to where the mind is, noticing what drew us away from focusing on the breath. Notice how these thoughts, these emotions, they come up unbidden without our asking for them or digging for them. They just pop up. Sometimes they're kind of sticky. They stick around. Sometimes they just float off on their own. Notice if there's an attempt on your part to hang on to a thought or a story or a feeling, or if you have a tendency to want to push it away. Just notice that, whether you're hanging on or pushing away, paying attention to the ever-changing stream of sensations, thoughts, and feelings. In a few moments, I will sound the bowl 3 times. At the last sound, slowly open your eyes and move your fingers and toes if you wish. As you go through the day, you might ask, what is happening inside me right now? Can I be with this? If strong sensations arise, try a light mental naming of what you're noticing. that concludes our meditation for today. Thank you for joining us.